Also featured in there is Oh What a Show, so please check that out. I just realized that was the prototype video for the new one. But we are here and we are live, and this is another episode of the Pundits Pundit. I'm your moderator, Jay Nelson. If you all happen to see this man walking his dog, or maybe parading at a Cubs game, or maybe he's moonlighting as an umpire at a Yankees game, or I don't know, just kind of
or a
shooting
Red
the breeze.
Sox game.
Or a Red Sox game. He could be disguised being held hostage and wearing a Red Sox hat. Find our pal JB Ellis. He's been missing for like 2 weeks. Remember, dial 1-800-SIDELINE Sports if you find him. And we've got a reward for you. It's going to be a coupon for like a family pack to KFC. And I'm joined by my co-host Uptown Jenny and Jacob Christner. How's it going, y'all?
What up?
Good damn! This is Jim Cornette. If I say like this, if I do this all night, I don't want to cuss too much, then we get in trouble with Eric and JB.
I know he cusses too much.
Yeah.
Tonight we have a special episode for you all. So after much planning for the last 2 weeks, we are doing an all-pro wrestling episode of the Pundits Pundit. So let's get right into it. As of right now, before we get started, I just want everyone to see that as of right now, MJ and Bird are tied at 0 on the Jacob counter, and we have the right show this time.
We'll see if we can add a couple of things in there.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I wanted to touch upon it's a little point of time called the Golden Era, and that is the 1980s professional wrestling boom. This was ruled by guys like Ric Flair in the NWA, Hulk Hogan in the WWF, and also one of Jenny's favorites, Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. You know, this was a time period. It did help absolutely. This is the MTV VH1 era. You know, the big hair band era, and guys were all pumped, and some of them were getting pumped in ways that now are illegal, that back then was legal, but it all started, at least on the WWF side, when Hulk Hogan first won the WWF Championship from the Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden in 1984. It is said to be the birth of Hulkamania, and the next thing you know, it's running wild, and he's every kid's hero and idol. And he's on commercials, he's on movies, he's got toys, he's got video games, he's got everything. Then over on the NWA / WCW, he had Ric Flair, the bleach blonde, dirtiest player in the game, 4 Horsemen, he was their champion and everything. And I mean, it was just a big power struggle. So, I mean, we'll start off with Jacob. So, your thoughts about the golden era of professional wrestling?
Well, it started in '84. That was when I've watched. You know what why I think Flair and Hogan were so huge at that time? Tell you why. Hulk Hogan was
physically huge.
Hulk Hogan was the equivalent of the rock star, the 80s rock star. He's name too many rock stars. Name a bunch of rock stars that are like, I mean, by itself, maybe they're skinny, maybe they have long hair and everything, but a lot of them weren't good looking. They weren't good looking. Hulk Hogan's not a good looking guy. But just like rock stars, they live off of charisma. And it's like, and you got a certain specific look. Then you get Ric Flair, who looked like every nighttime soap opera good looking dude of the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, they long hair, short hair, whatever. Getting the women, and remember, every nighttime soap opera was rich people.
Right, absolutely.
And he talked about wealth. He talked about women. He talked about everything. You know what I'm saying?
The dream that everyone.
Yeah. And it's like, those are what you had a combination. Yeah, remember it was rock and wrestling in the 80s, so Hulk Hogan could be MTV for that moment. And Ric Flair was the other night. There was certain people that there was a certain thing that thought, Hulk was cool, and then there was another set on the other side with Rick.
Yes.
And then here's the thing: Rick maintained, Hulk didn't.
Right. And now, go ahead, Jenny.
Question. who's really maintaining?
Oh no,
Rick is actually in
Hulk-
the hospital
Hulk's
every
out of
other
the-
week,
Hulk is out of
living
the-
in Charlotte. Rick, he's got issues. We'll be polite and say he's known to have IBS issues when in restaurants. I do believe he's in Atlanta now, but literally, okay, I grew up in the poor neighborhood next to the rich neighborhood, which is where Rick lived.
So you've seen him in person,
huh?
So you've seen him in person.
Yeah. My husband actually should be on this show, but because he knows more than I'll ever know about wrestling. But
Rick has IBS issues because he was almost died for one thing.
Yeah.
Dude, he gets drunk, passes out, and has IBS issues, to be polite.
Yeah.
It's been found in both the ladies' room and the men's room by accident.
What I meant by maintaining is I'm talking about a certain celebrity. Here's the deal. After what happened with Hulk, he is persona non grata. I literally remember think of an idea for a script for Hulk once. I had a couple of emails with his manager. They literally told me his price, which I'm not going to bring up. Then I get it, but see, which has happened before. But then all of a sudden, like 2-3 weeks later, I get an answer saying, "So what now?" Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm an unknown, and they're saying like that. It's literally, mind you, Hulk's going to have more money than Rick. Hulk has money. He's got that.
Hulk has only been married once, maybe in a second marriage.
Twice. But
okay.
But it's like that's the thing though. Is Hulk's got his money, he's got his businesses, he's fine. But as far as celebrity, it's over. It's just that's the past. Now Rick gets on. He gets in. He gets on hip hop videos and stuff like that. He gets in the thing people still remember. He gets on ESPN. The thing is, I still kind of find a little bit of a joke with it with this final match, which is not going to be a final match if he's still healthy. But which is not going to be. He'll just say this part. But the biggest thing as far as celebrity, that's what maintained. But also his maturity maintained too.
Yeah, and now we talk about the Ricks and the we talk about the Ric Flairs and the Hulk Hogans, and now keep in mind that and this is the 1980s, okay? So walk with me here. Don't get me wrong, they were pretty nice size back in the 60s and the 70s, but they didn't start becoming jacked until the 80s. With that being said, speaking of big hair and huge dude, along came a guy named James Hellwig, aka the Ultimate Warrior. He broke into business with a man named Steve Borden, who was just as jacked, who was just as pumped, and he had blonde hair and went to WCW. So, your thoughts on the impact of these guys for their respective leagues?
Sting started terribly. Warrior started terribly. Here's the thing. Warrior was lucky he had so many good wrestlers because he never got better.
True.
He never got Sting. Sting got Sting. His main thing. Sting got lucky. He had Flair.
Yes.
Sting got lucky because between Lex Luger and Sting he started out a lot better career. He had a lot more main events, everything like that. Here's the thing: the difference between Lex Luger and Sting is Flair liked Sting, and he just between 88, 91, early 91, they either wrestled together or tag team together and did everything a good 250 days a year.
Right.
Every single time. He literally put Sting under his wing for about 3 years. That's what made Sting better. Warrior was never going to have that because he was kind of a punk. Sting was the nice guy. Right.
Well, what about you, Jen? Your thoughts? Can't hear you.
That's what I think of Warrior.
She's muted. There you go.
Nope.
Still can't hear you.
That's what that quietness means that
better.
Talk about. Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, the dogs needed to come in. We didn't want out and shouting while everybody could hear. So I remember all of these names. I know the Four Horsemen. I know Sting. I know all of that. I don't know as much as you guys do. like, to be perfectly candid when it comes to wrestling. So I just know more current modern stuff, but I remember this
Absolutely.
because I remember going to, like, because I remember it was on Friday nights, and sometimes Saturday nights, and my parents had family friends, and they had 2 boys, and so it was always on. So I remember watching it, but I don't remember paying attention to it. So
Now,
for part
now
of this,
here's
I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I can talk about some of it. I just know, like you mentioned, Jay, like I know from the Netflix series Glow, I know that the Glorious Ladies of Wrestling really helped build the brand. I mean, it took a couple of years, but it really did help build the brand. And really get wrestling off the ground because it got little girls into it too.
It did.
gorgeous
And
ladies.
Glow was like a gateway, I guess, for females to get into wrestling.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, at the time period, it was more for the machismo dudes that's trying to live their fantasy through these guys like Hulk and Warrior and all of them, you know. But
Exactly.
you know, gorgeous lady, and I admit back then I had a bit of a crush on Godiva. You remember her?
I do.
Yeah. And so
Tina Ferrari.
She was pretty.
Tina Ferrari.
absolutely, you know, but Glow, you know, doesn't get talked about enough because you look at nowadays with the women's revolution, and I mean, it pretty much started with Glow because if you think about it, back then, and that's not taking anything away, you know, from like the Wendy Richters of the world and whatnot, but
you wouldn't have you wouldn't have Charlotte Flair without Rick.
true.
You wouldn't have the Brazilian chick on AEW or the dentist on AEW without Glow.
Right.
And I mean, I love the fact that there's an actual professional dentist who's a wrestler.
Yes.
I love that. And I'm like, I bet you'd make a lot of money if you just made all your clients your wrestling team members.
Right. That's true.
Well, here's the thing about Glow. It was one of the biggest thing about Vince was Vince always had a thought process of I want to see. In '89, he finally admitted to the New Jersey Athletic Commission, this is entertainment. They went through it so he wouldn't have to pay for the for athletic commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you're loving your Dr. Pepper there. You need to make an ad. But the thing was he did that part. But he did that part and he finally won, so they didn't have to go pay athletic commissions anymore. But
True.
One of the biggest things with this, Glow was really the first. I mean, because they still made it look like a fight to a point.
Oh, yeah.
Mind you, it's still a thing that WWF did. Glow was one of the absolute first where it literally looks like fighting porn. It looks like fighting. I'm just saying it looks like fighting.
Okay,
porn.
I don't remember that part, but aren't we like the same age?
Yeah, but the thing was, no kidding. But the thing was,
I mean, I was 9 when Glow premiered, because it premiered in 1986.
Yeah, but you're older than me. But no, if you're 77, right?
Yeah, 77.
The thing is, when I say that part, they literally put the entertainment all over the place. Vince McMahon made $1 Million Man. And go,
Vince McMahon did not start Glow.
No. What I meant,
okay.
No, not at all. What I meant though, he didn't start Glow, but what I was saying though, Vince McMahon had the entertainment part of it, where a lot of them were still trying to wrestle.
Right.
But he still had a thought process. When you're watching these matches, you still had a fight.
You did.
They're in ring. We're going to talk about that later, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I don't think so much now with WWE. I'm not impressed by WWE.
No, not anymore.
We're
going to talk about it later. We're going to talk about it later on the thing, but it's like there's a big thing. But Glow literally put the entertainment over the top. They were the first, because WWF was still doing, even though it was entertainment, they still the wrestlers were still from the old territory, so they had a fight feel still.
They did, and you know, we've talked about Vern Gagne's AWA, you know, and there were little to no actual gimmicks in that league. Like they were, they didn't predate the WWF when Vincent James McMahon had it, but again, they did not have like characters. Like even Vern Gagne himself had a rule that you were not to be world champion unless you had a legitimate wrestling background. It's why he made himself champion 10 times. At one point in time, the AWA had a young Hulk Hogan, and they let him go.
That changed the world. But see, the thing is, it probably ends wrestling as we know if they keep, because he would have never made it the way that Vince wanted it in the first place. It's
Right.
like, gotta realize this thing about Hulk Hogan. He has admitted in his books 2 different times in his book. He wrote 2 different books. He admitted both times he's not a fighter. He was the first wrestler that did not pretend he was a tough guy of the ilk at all.
He was a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he admitted it. Like, he was honest
no.
about that. I remember
He was
that.
completely honest about that. He even says himself, he's afraid of getting into fights. And it's like if someone's better than him, would whip his ass. And if he's stronger than somebody, how he might hurt him. He doesn't have that thought process of the tough guy.
Well, the thing about it is Hulk Hogan really, in truth, was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
A lot of bodybuilders aren't fighters, even to this day.
Oh,
a lot of bodybuilders aren't fighters.
Well, you don't want to bodybuild and fight. You don't want to.
Right.
Like, you don't
want to find out. You know what I mean?
No. Oh, no. You don't want to fight as a bodybuilder. You really don't, because your muscles are built for build. They're for look. It's like the minute that you start throwing fists, you're going to tear rotator cuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a completely different type.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's a good time to segue into the next topic, because we did bring up, and that is actually the fighting style of current WE for a lot of the wrestlers, and that is WWE and the Marvel film style. So this was something that I had discussed previously with Jacob Christner, and what he said made a lot of sense. So when you look at guys like, and I'm going to actually kind of grandfather Rey Mysterio, because he's a lucha libre, because
he's a grandfather now, I think.
Yeah, just about. That luchador style is like, that's a part of his code. He'd been doing that since WCW. Ironically, he had a Spider-Man S-tights in WCW. But then when you look at guys like Evan Bourne throughout the years, and Ricochet and others, especially Ricochet when he came out with the DC and Marvel costumes to go fight and everything, it's worth asking, because of the Marvel boom in the last 13, 15 years, has the WWE adopted that type of style for its wrestlers? Because WWE, one thing that they're good at is, if something else in public is popular, they latch onto it quick and make it a part of their own. And here's an example. When John Cena first debuted, he was a regular wrestler. And then 8 Mile came out. Next thing you know, he's coming out rapping. And it led to the current John Cena that we know now. He got a bit of a hip hop vibe to him.
He apologizes way too much.
There's a difference between him and between that John Cena and John Cena as a heel, But he pretty much evolved. He went from he got a bit of an edge to him. He's the doctor of thugonomics, and then he went into, let's face it, the modern day Hulk Hogan.
He's the doctor of apology-nomics now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's been 20 years later, But yeah. I mean, Jacob, just elaborate more on this whole, like, what do you think about the WWE and this whole Marvel film style of how some of the wrestlers, go in the ring?
Marvel film style, I don't necessarily mean by the costumes, even though we do see those,
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily mean by flying, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I mean by Marvel film style. This is my trademark, what I just made for the thing. It's like, but it's just what you see. When I say by Marvel film style, it's like watch Iron Man, the Marvel movies. Watch when they're together. When everybody's there. Watch their fights. Iron Man flies through the air and runs into you. Runs into you. Hulk is Hulk smash. Everything is the 5 buildings fall over. Just with one little pop. Everything's constantly a big monster deal.
Right.
Every part of the fight is a constant deal. Where I'm talking about that is get Brock Lesnar. I just use 3 wrestlers, for instance: Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and Roman Reigns.
Okay.
You watch those guys. Mind you, Goldberg should not be there anymore. Yeah, it's like, but if you're going to, but the thing is, he shouldn't be there anymore. But here is the issue with it: Brock Lesnar's matches are no different from Goldberg's, other than a move. It is
True.
still because I mean it is Spears. If you're doing Goldberg, Spear. If you're doing Brock Lesnar, you're doing let's see.
Suplex.
Suplex. You're doing that. Oh yeah, and then let's see. F5. Jackhammer. Okay. Let's see. Superman punch. Spear. I mean, everything's. This is what I'm saying by Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Marvel film. They don't have any psychology in a Marvel film fight. It is
No.
all big, powerful moves. All
Right.
of it. There is where I was talking about the Marvel film style compared to the old time when I brought up the 80s style. You had all of these old territory workers. They wanted to look like a fight.
Right.
It's like, guess what? Ted DiBiase punches Hulk Hogan in the face. Hulk sells. He goes down to the ropes. Now he's getting choked. It's a fight.
Yes.
It's a fight. It is like he's going to, and if he's going to cheat, he's going to try to choke him with a ring rope.
Yes.
He's going to try to do that. He's going to try to wear him out with a chokehold or a chin lock. He's going to those type of things. It is a psychology of a fight. Hulk's got to fight out. He's got to do everything. Even though there was the Hulk up and all that, and that's just 80 stuff. There was a fight thought process. Macho Man was the same. Everybody was the same. Now, where is the psychology of selling of anything when everything's huge?
Well, and not only that, but this also was part of McMahon's problem is whenever you say the whole fight concept, because even Hulk Hogan had a move set, even DiBiase had a move set, Macho had a move set, Warrior not so much. Sting had a move set. You know, Austin, Rock, they all had move sets. Triple H had move sets. But then you get like Goldberg, and as big of a Goldberg fan I am, the guy had like, well, I mean, in WCW he had more moves, but then it came to WWE, and I think his moveset kind of dwindled down.
Goldberg, here's the thing with Goldberg. If you're going to have Goldberg in matches, quit making him lift people. He's over 50 years old. You're not going to be as strong anymore, no matter how much you look. Mm-hmm. If you're going to put Goldberg in matches, make him the dangerous MMA ground guy. You know, I mean, the ground and pound and kill.
Right.
You know, you can spear, but don't have him lift.
Right. And you know what? Maybe because, and we'll talk later on this one, but I'll just bring up Ken Shamrock. When they started bringing Brock Lesnar, he had a run before in WWE, and then he went to UFC, and then he came back. But as far as UFC guys like Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, they paved the way for Ronda Rousey to be here, for Cain Velasquez's one lone match. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Shamrock had an actual move set because he was a real shoot fighter. Guys like tell me Shamrock wasn't the most believable back then.
Okay, I have a question for you, Jay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Didn't Ronda Rousey's professional career in MMA actually pave the way for her to go into WWE?
It did, but what I meant by that was prior UFC fighters coming to WWE. So guys like Shamrock and Severn paved the way for people like Rousey.
Okay. Well, I went to college with the girl who trained with Rousey, so that's why, Sorry, that's what I was asking.
Oh, no apologies. Yeah, that's what I meant because, at some point in time,
and I wasn't trying to correct you or anything. I just was like, wait, what? No. Okay, my bad.
No, it's a question. You're all good. No, because see, the thing is at that time period, they were looking to expand. So it's like, hey, we got this other league over here. And, I mean, let's see what they're all about. And they went and they got Shamrock. They got Severn and everything. And they were the most believable back then because they've been in the ring. Like, Shamrock and Jacob, I know you know, the first ever UFC tournament where you fought 4 guys in one night.
Yeah.
That was Shamrock. That was Couture. That was Gracie. You know what I mean? Like, and so whenever you bring guys like that to WWE, that makes them, I'm not saying make every wrestler on a roster like that, but this is what makes them more believable. That's what makes Brock believable because he went to UFC.
Here's the thing, though, Severn, you bring up Severn. Dan Severn had the unfortunate circumstance of having to go into the thing with Vince Russo around, who did not understand tough guys for anything. Dan Severn was the first Brock Lesnar. He was a legitimately dangerous. He was. I mean, and he was a very intelligent. You could have done anything with this if you don't have Vince Russo, who can't write anything. He can't write a thing. You can't. This is the thing. You give him. You've got a legitimately dangerous dude. You would know another thing of the Dan Severn reminds me of Keith Lee.
Yes.
If you have anybody that can write and anybody that can put a story together, Dan Severn's Keith Lee. He is a highly intelligent badass.
Yes.
You know, and very dangerous and can ground you, can destroy you. And
Absolutely.
That is Keith Lee. Which, that gets me on Jim Cornette. That gets me on him. You know, it's like, Cornette doesn't like Keith Lee being intelligent. It's like, Corny, this is not the 80s. It is an awesome thing for Keith Lee to be an intelligent destroyer.
Exactly. He's in just some like, because you know, for so long we had, and Jen actually had a question for you in a second. You know, this is why I loved it when Triple H, you know, first got put.
I remember him.
Suit, you know, and
I get excited when I remember.
He said long gone are the days where you got these 6'4", 260-pound dudes with only 3 moves to their moveset becoming world champion. So because of Triple H, he made the way for smaller guys like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and everybody to become like world champions because they have legit backgrounds in wrestling, in judo, and so forth. And so now my question for you, Jen. Ronda Rousey, who has a legitimate judo background, who's been a UFC champion, you know what I mean? What were your impressions of her in WWE?
I don't think it translated well. Initially, at least. Because so you can look her up. The girl I went to college with was Tara La Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sad because she was actually training in Albuquerque when I was living in Santa Fe. And that's only an hour away. But I was really into it because I'm 99% sure they had actually trained together. I vaguely remember Tara telling me her name in college at one point. But they, I don't think initially it translated well.
You think she just kind of got adjusted and then just later on?
She has definitely gotten adjusted. I don't think she likes the fact that Charlotte is the one that wins all the championships. But yes, Jacob?
The thing about Ronda is WWE writers, which I'm going to say writers.
Yeah, they treated her like
writers. I hate writers. They need to be bookers. I'm sorry. That's the one old school thing I'll take. I will say with Cornette forever, I will say bookers. Writers are horrible. They are failed sitcom writers. They're ridiculous. This is the thing.
Especially with the WWE. I mean, at least the shit with AEW is a little bit better.
Yeah, no kidding. But here's the thing. They don't know how to, this day, they don't know how to write a baby face. A baby face is still that 1980s, smile. Guess what? Everybody hated baby face Roman. They love heel Roman. Here's a little thing about heel Roman. You can make that a baby face Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can.
You can make that baby face, and it's just like a face. You know, you can make that because people. And it's like, guess what? And guess what? Brock Lesnar, he's kind of fake smiling. He's having a little fun with the whole thing. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. You meet Brock doing his little thing. He's kind of a smirky dude. And he gets cheered when he's growling. He gets cheered. People just want reality.
And you know where it started? It started back in. Okay, so you remember Vanilla Rocky Maivia that debuted in '96? Yes. And then he became the youngest ever Intercontinental Champion, and he was shaking hands and kissing babies. And then what did the crowd do? They started chanting, "Die, Rocky, die. Yeah. Die, Rocky, die. Yeah. Rocky sucks." Then he joined the Nation and became an ass. And when that happened, The Rock was born. And soon what happened after that? He got cheered. This was the change and the shift in fans in wrestling. Long gone were the days of we're going to cheer the good guy and we're going to boo the bad guy. Nowadays, it's like, you know what? That's gotten old. We're going to start cheering. How do you think Stone Cold got so popular?
Greatest thing what the Click did.
One quick side note, sorry to advocate another show, But the Stone Cold Austin hot ones on YouTube, hilarious.
Nice.
Really advocate it.
Have you seen his any episodes of his Broken Skull sessions? Yeah, okay. Maybe they're on YouTube. I know you. I think a few episodes are on YouTube, but I watch them through Peacock. Like if you have a Peacock subscription, you can see them. But yeah, definitely the Broken Skull sessions are awesome. I watched the one he had with Kevin Nash, and it was pretty.
Oh
great.
no! Listen to go to Nash's Click This podcast. It is amazing.
Nice.
Amazing. But no, look. The thing is that what makes them. It's not the heel or face thing. This is what WWE writers still don't get. Vince did not get. Maybe Triple H gets it. Now that Vince is gone, we'll be talking about that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they get this. It's not the words. It's not the good guy, bad guy thing. That's been gone a long time, Cornette. I'm going to say that again. Cornette and Brian last. You know, it's like, Mr. Welcome, friends, and you are our friends. No, unless you don't agree with us politically, and then you're not our friends anymore. See, you are our friends. No matter what. But no, the thing is, it's not the words, it's not everything, it's what's real. It is what's real. Macho Man got cheered, even though he was about to look like he was smacking Elizabeth around. They loved him. There was such a charisma thing. There's such a charisma thing. What looks cool?
It was.
What looks cool? I mean, it's like, let me tell you, I guarantee you why Hulk got cheered as long as he did. And no matter what, I'll tell you why. Is because he raked backs, he raked eyes, he he cheated a ton. He hit you from behind. The thing was, it wasn't that he did that. He did it because they did it to him.
Yes.
They did it to him. And it's like, fans get it that it's real. You're going to get your revenge. I don't like baby faces that are like, you got your butt kicked and now you're holding an arm.
Right.
Yeah. Like what John Cena became, because it was like no matter how many people did underhanded tactics to him, he'd be holding a chair and he's like, "Nope, I'm not going to do it." The crowd would boo because they get like all charged up, like he's going to do it, he's going to do it, he's going to break the rules, and then Cena's like, "Nah," and I'm just like, "Oh man, Vince, you're killing me," you know. So,
well, But no,
I'm so ready to go on the Vince topic. I'm sorry.
but no kidding. But no, that's the biggest thing. That it's like, I wish I got. See, I would actually try to write WWE now or go into that thing without Vince there. Yeah, I actually would, because I get the feeling that my ideas, because Vince is essentially a 12-year-old kid in a 77-year-old man body.
Right.
He is, and it's like,
I mean. I will say this. He did not have a good childhood.
Oh, no.
Vince's childhood was...
Like, when his dad was present, his dad was beaten.
He's from right there in North Carolina.
I know.
Yeah. He's from North Carolina. Yes, he is.
Without NASCAR and without Vince McMahon, we would not have the Carolina Canes. We would not have the Carolina Panthers. We would not have had... and currently have the Charlotte Hornets.
You wouldn't have David Tepper.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Jerry just play grab ass on his personal time and not at work? I'm just saying.
With that being said, we're going to segue on over to our next topic, and we covered it a little bit on the Gauntlet this past Saturday. Not the Gauntlet. On Sideline Sports this past Saturday, and that's Vince McMahon's retirement. And Jen, you want to give your thoughts on this? Kind of lead us off?
This man should have been retired back in 1980 something, because that is when the first sexual harassment case actually came up against him. And that was Rita Chardon, and she was a former referee known as Rita Marie in the WWF in the 1980s. In 1992, she had made an appearance on Geraldo Rivera's show, and she also had backup to support what she was saying. But basically, Vince tried to force her to perform oral sex. Mm-hmm. And then when she refused, he raped her. And then former wrestler Leonard, and I had to put this name up, and Zatari has corroborated her allegations. Then again, in 2006, he was accused of sexual harassment at a tanning bar in Boca Raton. And then again 2006 in Miami because he was in Royal Rumble. And then, but no charges were filed against him for that incident. Then again, as we know right now, his daughter's in charge, as she should be. However, I feel bad for his daughter, because she's kind of in a rock and a hard place, right? Like, who does she choose, mommy or daddy? But daddy's cheating on mommy, but mommy's kind of been taking it on the chin, like, for years. And I don't mean that as a double entendre, so I apologize if it came out that way.
I was making that face because Vince McMahon, years and years ago, and I'm pretty sure Jake's gonna touch on this. In his autobiography, he admitted to openly cheating on his wife a lot.
Oh yeah. And then, like, I don't know, like, how many people, like, I get Ric Flair getting excuses because he actually never sexually assaulted anyone. He was an asshole, but he flashed one or two women, which is illegal, but he would usually tell them he was going to flash them beforehand. And the flight attendant, I think, on that, the flight from hell.
Right from hell.
Yeah, was the one exception. But there's a lot of contradictory stories, including from other flight attendants. Yeah. So who knows? But I feel bad for the kids. I don't feel bad for Vince or Linda McMahon. I am grateful to Vince because without him, I would not have my boys. I really, either team, my Hornets or my Panthers. So, and I'm not really into hockey, so I don't really care about that. But no offense, go Canes. But I don't know, like, what he's done is reprehensible. It's repulsive. He's gotten away with it for 40 years almost.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things where, you know, it's going to catch up with him.
Has let him. And I'm sorry, but because his wife let him, it does not surprise me which cabinet she ended up working in.
I think
I'll say that. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I will. Like,
that's fine. No, let me say this. We have to understand Vince McMahon's where his personality is right now. He literally started 1975. His dad told him he's going to take the Bangor, Maine territory. If you have 3 months to build it up, because it was gone. You have 3 months to build it up. Do not ever ask me a thing. That's what his dad said to him. You don't ask me a thing ever about being in the wrestling business again if you don't bring it up in 3 months. He did.
No, isn't PWS out of Bangor also?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up.
Okay.
But anyway, this was the Bangor, Maine territory, and it was dying, and they weren't getting anybody. He just said his son. I mean, this is 30-year-old Vince, okay? And he kept saying, Vince had been doing for years, like promoting it different ways, like music halls and all that stuff, small things. Kept asking his dad, I want to get in the wrestling business? And his dad finally said, you get Bangor, Maine. We can't get anybody. You got 3 months to build it up. You don't build it up, do not ever ask me again. And he knows that that was his one chance. And he built the thing up. In 82, he was asked to he wanted to buy WWF. Okay, say WWF.
From his dad,
His dad, the partners, Arnold Scotland, Gorilla Monsoon, a couple others, forget. They were all partnership in that. And his deal with that was, you've got 4 quarters to do it. Starting in January, you have 4 quarters. You have to put $250,000 in my hand in one quarter each time. For the one thing, you have to keep doing it. And if you miss it once, not only do we keep the money, we keep the company.
We keep the company.
And we don't give you your money back. He had to do it. He not only did, he gave them their final money. And then he promised his dad he would take care of Scotland. He would take care of Monsoon, give them jobs the rest of their life, everything. And until they died. But he didn't have any ill will toward those guys, even though they were laughing. It was little bitty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and it's those things. And for you, and mind you, I'm just saying this, Jen, I'm not for his ridiculousness. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we all love our ridiculousness.
What?
I said we all love our ridiculousness.
Yeah. I'm not for what Vince has done. I'm not giving him excuses for that.
That's the environment in which he was raised, but if a woman says no, a woman says no.
Oh, sure,
if a man says no, a man says no.
But what I'm bringing up with his personality is everything to him, there is no. Everything to his personality. If you beat him up in a fight, he's gonna keep swinging until he gets one in on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you say to him, you have to go take this territory, and you have one chance, he's going to get hell or high water. He has no choice.
Yeah.
When you owe $1 million in 4 quarters, you have no money. You have to do this. He's going to keep doing it. He and Linda got their 2 of their cars repoed.
Mm-hmm.
2 of their cars repoed. They were everything. Everything was that business. He gave it all for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Everything was the Tums related, like literally acid.
I won't say he didn't work hard, but because he couldn't respect himself.
Yeah.
First and foremost, he couldn't respect anyone else.
Yeah.
Including his family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he has destroyed it himself. And here's the thing. You can see, if you look at the timeline, you can see even the decline. Now, I get first allegations. And these are allegations that are public. How many others are there that were not public?
Yeah. How many of them weren't reported? And one time I read an article rather a tweet, and it was so accurate. Up until that time period, even on through to today, Vince McMahon has the mind frame of a 1980s Republican. Whenever there's a problem, throw money at it.
Because he is one.
Exactly. Whenever there's a problem,
almost single-handedly supports the Special Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's so people. It just goes to show you, like, honestly, I'd kick him in the shin if I saw him in the face, because I can't get arrested for kicking somebody in the shin. Other areas of a body you can get arrested for. Shin, oopsie. Anyway, it goes to show how convoluted people are.
Yeah.
Because some people are really good in certain areas.
Yeah.
See,
and
Vince
good in bad areas, but he has no respect for himself, and that has to come from his childhood.
See, if you want to talk
got the money, go get a counselor.
If you want to see the truth about Vince McMahon, though, you said oopsie with kicked in the shin. You could probably punch him in the face, and he'll probably give the respect to you.
No, because it don't look good in orange, Jacob. I don't want to go to jail.
I don't think you would. This is the funny. I'm joking with it, but I don't think you would.
Wait, hang on. I said he has the mindset of an 80s politician, i.e. Reagan. Jen, if you punched him in the face, he'd probably pay you not to do it again.
Well,
Trying to get me to do other things with him instead.
He might pay you to do it again.
Then run.
Do it again.
I mean, I get a couple mil out of the shit, but hey.
But my point is this, and what I meant by that is, whenever there's a problem, you throw money at it. You throw money. See, in his mind, it's about who has the most money. Who has the most?
That's just a Republican thing, though.
That's 1980s? Yes.
That's a political thing.
Hey, with Vince, he might pay her to punch him again.
Yeah.
It might be his fetish for all we know. But
I'm just at the point where I think all parties are disgusting, so that's where I'm at.
But no, Vince is somebody, every inch of his life is a fight.
Yes.
He's made it that way, though, Jacob.
Yeah,
that's on him. You can choose what battles to fight.
Yeah, he and Flair are the most immature. The one thing I have respect. Here's the deal. The one thing I have respect for Hulk Hogan with, and I'll tell you this: we know what Hulk Hogan did as far as his news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's one thing I have respect for Hulk Hogan is when you listen to him talk, he sounds like an adult.
Yeah.
He sounds like an absolute adult. He sounds like somebody. Okay,
valid.
What?
Valid point. Like Ric Flair doesn't really sound like an adult anymore.
Hogan at least sounds like he has a brain, right?
Yeah. He sounds like an adult. He talks about money, the things, investments, doing all that kind of stuff. He was in boardrooms first before any wrestler. He was all that kind of stuff. He sounds like an actual adult that if you grew some hair and put him in a suit, it'd fit.
Right.
It's like where Flair sounds like a 12-year-old boy. Vince constantly a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah. Now, Jennifer.
I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I gotta jump off this one. We got a 50th episode that I was asked to be a part of.
Hey.
So I'm sorry.
Awesome.
I love you guys. Thanks
Hey,
everybody
we'll
for
catch up to
watching.
you. We'll catch up to you.
All right, I'll talk to you guys after the show. Great show. Love you guys.
Hey, love you.
We love you. No, but I'm going to bring this there. This is what I was bringing to that. It's the fact that, like I said, what's killed Hulk Hogan is we know what killed Hulk Hogan's celebrity. It's over. We already know that. We understand that part. It's like whether he apologized, he did all that kind of thing. That wasn't going to happen again, especially at his age. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But his age. But here's the thing. He was smart enough to know money to when he never went bankrupt through all that.
Right.
He's a guy that would know how to build money and put it over and get it away from something. Hulk Hogan sold the name when I'll give you a little quick story. I don't know if you knew this. Ricky Steamboat for 15 years lost the trademark to his wife, Bonnie, his ex-wife. Oh. He lost it in a divorce. Guess what? Linda tried doing that to Hulk. Hulk knew about that. He sold it for $1 to Eric Bischoff.
Yep.
And Eric gave it back to him.
Nice.
Eric gave it back
after the divorce was final.
The divorce was over, and it was like Eric gave it back to him, and it was like talk about a friend can trust. Eric could have taken that thing to death. But
absolutely.
Especially when Eric. But that's what I'm saying though. Hulk Hogan. He's had 2 divorces. He just had a divorce with Jennifer or whatever. You know. Here's the thing though. Hulk Hogan, when you look at him in on a celebrity, on an everything, when you listen to what he's done, like with his divorces, with everything, it sounds like a human being. It sounds like okay, we're going to do investments, we're going to do everything. Ric Flair still cannot give up a woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Vince can't give up on the idea of I want to fight you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. Vince once actually said to Chris Jericho, okay, you take Mickey Rourke, I'm going to take the little guy. The little guy was Frank Shamrock.
Wow.
Yeah, Vince thinks he can whip the world. That's an immature situation.
It is. But, just like Jen said, his whole life has been a fight. And if you think about the 3, because he's had these little battles and skirmishes throughout the 40 years, but he's only really had 3 wars. One of them just retired him, the Monday Night Wars, and remember the 1994 steroid scandal.
See, that's the thing about a fight. You want, in those situations, you want that fight. You want the fight with you. Kevin Nash says it himself. Vince McMahon had a neck brace on during that whole thing, had neck surgery. He no-sold everybody. No-sold everybody. The government. The government was planting evidence on him, and he was no-selling them. I mean, we almost want to go to a bell tower and pick some people off. He literally no-sold everything, knowing they were lying.
Knowing they were lying, exactly. And, at some point in time, when do you start to feel like you're bulletproof? Okay, you're fighting this promoter over here. I fought the United States government and won by myself. I even had, at one point in time, my top guy, arguably my best babyface of all time, testify against me, and I still won.
But Vince, the thing about, like I said, the thing about Vince is I wonder how long he'll live without wrestling. That's all he knows is work. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, here's the thing. As long as he keeps working out and comes up with ideas, you can go for a bit. But here's the thing. Like I said, with Flair and Vince, when you don't know how to be an adult, guess what? This is the whole thing. Neither of them know how to be an adult human being.
Yeah.
Neither of them know how to, because you got to realize people keep talking about the last Flair match. Flair talked about, I've been offered 10 more matches. For one thing, who the hell offers the 10 more matches as a 73-year-old
So
man?
75, exactly.
But even if they did, okay, this is the thing. He's not going to tell you he's not going to say the word yes right now while they're promoting something that says this is his final match.
Right.
The minute he accepts that, then he will make no money for his match.
Yeah.
And but guess what? What's he doing in the ring in the first place?
True. I mean, what must be going on or lacking to where he's like, you know what, I'm just come back for one more match. Even though we saw his last match when he was still somewhat in shape when he fought Shawn at WrestleMania. You know?
There's something about wrestlers. That's another thing I had respect for Hogan is he misses it dearly. He wishes to get back in there, but at least he can say, well, my back can't do it anymore. Yeah. He's not just trying to shuffle through it. That's the thing about it. There's just something about it. Jerry Lawler's no different. He has to have 25-year-olds. He's freaking 70 some odd years old. And it's like Jerry Lawler's the same thing, and he had a false statutory rape conviction. It was false, but he had false. But it's like this kind of crap is what happens when you can't let yourself have a beautiful 50-year-old woman.
Yeah.
It's same with Flair. When you can't, all these little accusations are all going to happen when you can't let yourself have a healthy sex life.
Yeah.
It's time to be an adult somewhere. You know this?
Some point in time, yeah. It's just for guys like that, it's so hard because
it's boring.
Fans love, you got to think about it like this. You talk about how immature Flair was. Fans love the immature Flair. And as big of a spotlight hog as he is, it's hard to let that go. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying human nature. You see what I mean?
Like, yeah, and it's like, it is human nature, and it's all that kind of stuff. But let me tell you this. When I see, and I'm bringing this whole thing, when I see Flair, and I'm saying this. We'll do this, and we'll go to the Montreal Screwjob, okay? But I want to say this. When you see Flair, you're still seeing him doing fake, these fake little things with getting cut open by Kevin Nash or Jeff Jarrett. Mm-hmm. You're seeing all this crap. You know what I'm saying? Do you want to know what you're seeing these final match things, these little press conferences and all that stuff. Do you know what you see when you see Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash? You're seeing Hulk on videos showing off his 11 cars, muscle cars.
All right.
And his 3 boats. Enjoying life as a beach bum with all that money.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And guess what? His women are about 50. They're gorgeous, but his last one was 40. They're getting age appropriate.
Yes.
You want to know what you get when you get Nash? 25 movies, and about 12 of them were blockbusters.
Yeah.
And he owns real estate, and he's got his own CBD, Jackknife Sativa now. Yeah. It's called Jackknife Sativa. If anybody wants to go to Kevin Nash's website, he has his own CBD now. That you got a businessman actually doing business things. You have businessmen doing business things. Adults.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to pretend. The only physical altercation they look to get into is if you break into their house, and they're probably going to have a gun. But if you do wrestle them, then they're going to have to do something. That's the only way you're going to get there.
Right.
Out of them. Guess that. They're adults.
Yeah. They're doing adult things. Well, we're going to transition to the final topic here, and we may actually end up going 2 minutes over on this one. But the Montreal Screwjob. So we've seen the Hitman Hart documentary on, I think it was A&E. We've all seen Survivor Series 1997, the entire pay-per-view, But a long story short is Bret the Hitman Hart had signed a contract to WCW, and he was the reigning WWE champion. And Vince McMahon actually later stated the real reason why he did this was because he did not want Eric Bischoff to go around bragging that he signed away the WWE champion. So what he did was he concocted a scheme to where Bret got screwed out of the championship at the Survivor Series. Bret had said that he did not want to lose the title in his home country. What was supposed to happen was a no contest finish. at Survivor Series, and the next night on Raw, Bret was to bring the belt out to McMahon, thank the fans, and then leave for WCW finally. But ended up being the opposite. Bret Hart lost by submission when he actually didn't submit. So what were your thoughts on that, Jacob?
When Scott Hall said, but before Scott Hall passed away, Scott Hall said this. He thinks that he thought it was a work, total work.
He was the only one who believed it was a work.
Yeah, thought it was a work. But here's the thing. I think worked shoot that a lot of people weren't in on. But like, I mind you, that Bret probably wasn't even in on, mind you. But take a look at what Scott says. Scott's probably one of the smartest wrestling minds in the industry by miles. He talked about it himself. Where in the world Vince McMahon was outside the ring, and yet remember he ran all the production.
Right.
He's outside of the ring doing all this, and yet everybody's in front going. He's doing the WCW the deal right in front of everything in the world. He's doing that everything. Vince is right outside, and he can and he has an earpiece. He could easily just say no. Take that camera off of him now, because you got to remember he took that camera off when Owen fell.
Yes, he did.
We literally saw the whole crowd for about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
and he took that thing. I think Bret was screwed. I do, but I think Vince is probably one from everything we talked about. I think he's one of the master storytellers. I'm not talking about story-wise. I'm not talking about story-wise. I'm not talking story-wise as far as in and out, because he had a lot of crap. What I mean by storyteller, he knows what's going to happen based off the amount of years he's been through this.
Yes.
This industry. He absolutely knows what you should just keep that camera right there.
Yeah.
As far as surface storytelling, he's a master, because he put every single territory out of business based off the fact that everybody had the still camera, and he had 4 cameras.
He had 4 or 5 cameras.
Everybody had a still camera in the ring and maybe a second one on the outside. He had 4 cameras, and they were all shooting like a sitcom.
Exactly.
Yeah, that way. He knew, not to say that his writing or any kind of bullet points were any good, because guess what? During those times, he had Jake the Snake Roberts telling the story. He didn't have to do that.
He did.
He didn't do it. But surface storytelling with a camera, master. It's like, he has probably got 3 people to say that thing. And once Vince dies, I'm imagining Triple H is going to come out and say he knew.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he didn't say no based off of Shawn Michaels, as far as he's going to say this is where this camera is going to be or whatever.
Yeah. You know what? I agree with you. I believe that once he finally passes away, there's going to be a lot of people coming outside saying, oh yeah, what you thought was. Because I'll bring up another incident, and this is what lets you know that this was real. And I mean by a full-blown shoot. So I mentioned Wendy Richter earlier in the program, right? So a lot of people don't know this, but she herself was screwed out of the women's title. She dethroned the Fabulous Moolah after a 30-plus year reign as the women's champion. You remember that, right?
Yep.
So Wendy Richter was becoming big, and I mean, basically, she was the Hulk Hogan of the women's division. Well, she made the quote-unquote mistake of wanting to get paid like Hogan. And the thing about it is this. It's not that she wanted to get paid like him. She wanted to get paid more. Now, mind you, this is Vince McMahon here, okay? You know how he viewed women then and probably now. So with that being said, he actually screwed Wendy Richter out of the championship when the Fabulous Moolah came out and won, and it was a controversial finish. After it was done, he ran to the back and hid in his office, and Wendy Richter tore the back apart looking for him. After the Montreal Screwjob, Bret was tearing the back looking for Vince. Vince ran and hid in his office. It was only The Undertaker who knocked on his door and said, you better come out here and face that man.
See, that was the funny thing. It was the fact it wasn't like Wendy was ever going to do anything to Vince. Vince was a monster. But,
well, yeah.
I mean, Bret's a big boy. So that's the big difference. The thing about that screw job is the simple fact you got to realize before the screw job and everything that Vince was on Vince took another chance before the big. I'm going to give you this whole thing before the Attitude Era. He took one more chance. You got to remember they had no money, none, zip. They weren't making money at all. They literally took water bottles out of the offices. Those water coolers, they took them out. They were in that kind of shape. Jim Cornette said it himself. They couldn't afford a thing. Vince took a loan, or I don't know if it was a loan or the rest of the money they ever had, and he completely rebuilt their stages when they had no money to do that.
Oh man,
this is what I'm telling you. He's not a great poker player. He's not a great poker player. He just scares you into. I mean, like for instance, I played poker for years. Okay, I know.
Well, before you continue, let me ask you a question. Because Vince McMahon, you say he's not a great poker player, yet he seemingly wins at poker. Would you say it's because Vince is sitting at the table, but someone else is playing his hand for him?
No, that could be too. But here's the thing: he is not a good poker player because the biggest thing about it is he really doesn't understand the rules. It's basically like the Monopoly game when you flip it over, say I win. Yeah. See, the biggest thing, the reason he's not a great poker player is because he is just throwing in with a pair of twos or without a hand, and you just don't know if he's bluffing. And you got to realize that the idea of, do you want to know why there's like 1,100 billionaires in the world and 3.2 million millionaires in the United States, and out of 330 million, is because the vast majority of people are too scared to ever try to be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
They're too scared to try to invest money. They're too scared not to try to spend their thing. They're too scared to play the game, to break the rules a little bit here and there. That sometimes you have to get, the breaking the rules is not screwing people. It's not paying the taxes. Yeah. Which means you're trying to do different things and not pay the extra taxes. That's what wealthy people do. There are people too afraid to try those things. Vince is afraid of nothing. Not a fight, not any accusations. He's afraid of nothing. And so, like I said, he's not a great poker player. But the reason he's not, but he wins all the time because the rest of the world is afraid. The rest of the world is afraid. What if he has that for once in a blue moon? He'll have that four of a kind,
full house or four of a kind,
four of a kind once in a while. But vast majority of the time, he's got a pair of twos, and he's just going, "Thank you, I'm gonna take my chips again." But he's not any good. He's not any good. He just knows you're too damn scared.
Yeah, it's not that he's any good. It's that you just don't show up. A lot of people don't show up or too scared, and the ones that do show up are too scared.
Well, you're too scared. It's like, guess what? Everybody, there's a legend of his idea of his toughness and quote unquote. Well, who's he ever fought? But the whole point of the toughness is because he's not afraid.
He's not afraid.
You're seeing videos of him being over 70 years old and jumping off of the platforms like at a WrestleMania thing just to show, hey, see, I can do it.
And you know what? The crazy part about it is, and we mentioned, this just a little bit ago, is we talk about how he's not such a good poker player and that everyone else is just afraid, and that's why he wins. So would you say the 94 steroid scandal was his Nick Foles moment?
No, because he had Rita Chardon. He had Rita Chardon. It's like, and the reason Rita Chatterton, just to let her know, the reason Rita Chardon didn't hurt him at all is because it wasn't a publicly traded company for a long time.
Right.
It wasn't for another 13 years or 12 years. It wasn't a publicly traded company, so that's why it didn't hurt him at all. He was a family company. See, but in the midst of Vince's greed, this is why they investigate him now. He had his greed. He could have stayed a family business, made all that money. And he could have made money in Saudi Arabia without dealing with that kind of thing, and he wouldn't have been touched. But he wouldn't have been touched. But he had to have that money, and that's all the money you can be able to get. The thing is, he still thought he was invincible and bulletproof with all those board members.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we're about 5 minutes over. But I thank everybody for tuning in. Shout out to David in the comments. Shout out to the likes and the love that we got on the reactions. It was fun. This is great. I had been waiting to do a show like this, being a huge pro wrestling fan since knee high toe cricket. And next week we've got a stacked show. Jacob's got some goodies for us, and we'll be right back next week. It'll be myself, it'll be Jacob, it'll be Jen, and Jacob. Let us know what projects you got going on and where to find you.
Oh, Monday nights during the season, NBA carousel, and if like I said, if Sacramento starts getting any better, I might have to keep them. Tuesday nights confidential, and with confidential, I will be in Des Moines, Iowa, in September 17th. Helping with a couple other people represents Sideline Sports at a Iowa Cubs game.
Awesome.
That Iowa Cubs game will be on Marquee Sports Network.
All right.
We will see when we go to that. Sideline Sports is making that there. Thursday nights here, the Pundits Pundit, where we're building it. Sunday nights, Basket Bros. We have stacked one on Sunday also. And I also am part of a movie called The Quickening with TJ Sanson, who, by the way, loves you, Jay. And she's still waiting. And I know you love her art, so get a hold of her soon.
I'm about to message her and see how she's doing. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Oh, and by the way, just a quick update on what's been going on. I don't know if you all have been watching a clip from one of our executive heads, Eric Wilson. But breaking news as of yesterday, James Tatum, one of my co-hosts on The Gauntlet, has been suspended indefinitely from Sideline Sports. So us at The Gauntlet, we do plan on appealing. So keep posted on that one. Also, find JB Ellis. Let us know if you see him. And we will see you all next week. This is the Pundits Pundit.
Take care.